2-0 start for the Bucks. Another massive game from Giannis, but another injury. We dig into the details next on Locked On Bucks.
You are Locked On Bucks, your daily Milwaukee Bucks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Bucks. I'm Justin Garcia, joined by Frank Madden. We thank you for making this your first listen of the day, each and every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. It is a 2-0 start to the season for the Bucks as they knock off the Raptors in Toronto, 122-116. I said, how would you term this win, Frank? Because on the postgame, I think the best way I can, solid. This is a really solid win. I think it's an improved Raptors team. Didn't shoot the ball well. They're an aggressive defensive team. And it felt like they overcame a lot to win this game.
Deeply satisfying, Justin. You know, you obviously needed to win the first game. All right. Nobody's going to, give the Bucks too much credit for beating the Wizards at home. But, like we were saying, right, the next 4 games, this group of kind of segment of 4 games in Toronto, in Cleveland, home New York, home Warriors. None of those are gimme games, right? I had kind of gone in this sort of swing saying, hey, if you go 2-2, come out of the first 5, 3-2, I would take that, right? Like, I think you'd feel okay about that. Where my head's at, I'm just sort of, especially after last year and all the noise after the slow start a year ago, and the potential, given the way the media came into this year, it would be really nice to have a good start to the year. And again, not expecting, undefeated gangbusters, whatever start, first year Bud 7-0 or whatever they were, not expecting that, but, just like a good solid start, hashtag building good habits, getting better every day, Justin. So I think especially given everything around this team and the fact that you have a lot of guys, you have depth, but you have a lot of guys who are going to have to take on more responsibility, especially offensively. You just wanted to see get some good vibes to start the year. Yeah. And this, I think, was a game where, I think it was a very good test in the sense that it's a team that obviously the Raptors have ambitions of being better than the Bucks this year. Right. And they're not totally crazy. This is a talented team. They're healthy. Obviously they have not been very healthy the last couple of years. And I think looking at kind of the way they play, right, they blew the Hawks off the floor in game 1. So they will get up and down the floor, and certainly defensively with this Bucks team. Yeah, I have a little bit of concern that, they get a little too high on their own supply, trying to play fast themselves. Do they get susceptible to other teams running on them? So I thought that was going to be an interesting thing. And I think just from a matchup perspective, the size that the Raptors can bring on the wing, Scotty Barnes typically is playing the 4, but, again, I wasn't sure. Maybe we see him at the 3 a little bit, but Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett, we knew those guys would have physical advantages against the Bucks 3-guard lineup. They were not going to have a hard time at least shooting over that group. So you were going to have to really battle with those guys, try to avoid foul trouble, etc. And I mean, they were the 2 guys that I think did punish the Bucks for the, on the night. They both had pretty efficient scoring nights, 20 plus points per game. And we saw Doc, I think, again, we wouldn't say this sort of in the abstract that we're happy about Doc playing Taurean Prince over AJ Green to close a game. But I mean, I think they kind of had to put some more size in there. And obviously it ultimately paid dividends in terms of they did have enough size to hold up defensively down the stretch and still had enough offense to win the game. So I think that, and then I think on the other side too, I mean, I thought starting with Emmanuel quickly, but also Scotty Barnes, all the guys, it seemed like all the wing defenders, there was a real emphasis on trying to pressure the ball and trying to take the Bucks out of their comfort zone in the half court, try to prevent them from getting out and running. Bucks did not run at all tonight, and try to really make it hard in the half court. Giannis showing him lots of bodies, all the usual stuff there. So I thought this was a good test. Bucks turned it over a ton, which was not great. some of that was the Raptors defense. I think a lot of it was honestly just like poor decision making and sloppiness.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, they weathered that storm, and they never let the Raptors go on like a really extended run that kind of let them take control. And I think they had a good stretch when Giannis went out late in the third, early fourth, just as they did against the Wizards. Bobby Portis back from the dead, finding life to actually like make some shots, which was really important. And we're gonna have to talk about the T-shirt twins, Cole Anthony and Ryan Rollins. I thought they needed those guys obviously on a night where KPJ's out with the ankle injury, and Cole Anthony in particular. But I think Ryan Rollins deserves also a ton of credit. I thought both those guys were awesome tonight in complementing what was, ho-hum, another 30-27 game from Giannis, which, again, we just sort of become numb to. So, yeah, I think just a really solid win where I thought they just really played in a composed way, and those guards did well. And Gary Trent Jr. had to be really happy hitting some big shots down the stretch against his former team, shutting up a crowd, giving the crowd some love there on a couple of big baskets he made down the stretch to help seal this one.
So, the turnovers, I think, is noteworthy. I agree. There was at least 2 or 3 sequences in the first half too, where it wasn't all just ball pressure from the Raptors. There was like the Raptors turn it over, the Bucks turn it over, but they only had 6 in the second half, so they did clean it up there. I thought Ryan Rollins was terrific. He really, you could see the confidence building, and just he knew I can attack quickly, and I know how to get all the way to the rim and finish here. And that's going to be an important part for him. I think we've talked about he's comfortable off the ball and as a catch and shoot guy. I still, I don't know if I've inherited Ryan Rollins now as my new son, given how high I am on him. I still don't love Ryan Rollins as your point guard and primary ball handler, but I think he's a serviceable secondary guy, more than serviceable. But I thought he was very, very good tonight. Oh, by the way, Giannis in the stat line that you mentioned, like the crazy thing is, I could have sworn it was more than 7 times. And we're talking about 30 points and 20 rebounds, but you see, he's done it 7 times. You're like, really? It's not more than that? That it shows you like how good he's been. But even as the game went on, like you could see Giannis like wasn't forcing like I got to take over and dominate, which he had 30 points and 20 rebounds. But in the fourth quarter, especially, he was just kind of the facilitator and like finding shots for his teammates. And it goes back to what Doc said after game 1 too, of like, I don't know if we're going to know by the end of the regular season who the second leading scorer is on this team. This is 2 games where it's been a different guy in each of those games. But I mean, Cole Anthony, this is the Cole Anthony game, 2 games into the season where he had some really big moments, right? To at least get the offense going. And you can see, I mean, we remember all the times he played against Cole Anthony, you would see it, but just, he has those qualities where it's annoying to play against. And it was funny too, like the dark art of the grift and just drawing fouls, like all the things that didn't work for Dame the last 2 years worked for Cole Anthony today.
Well, he didn't get any 3-point shooting, 3-point fouls, but he did when they were in the penalty get like a couple of plays where it's like he just drew fouls when, I mean, the Raptors had no business kind of getting caught fouling him. And I mean, a couple of those finishes too were very artistic, beautiful style, either using his left hand, like some acrobatic finishes. He's an athletic guy, but he's so small that it's kind of like, it's hard for him to like, he's not going to like get up from the half court and just like uncork dunks on guys, right? Like KPJ being 6'3", 6'4", like he's able to do that sort of in the flow of the action. Cole's probably about closer to 6'1", I think. So he doesn't have quite that size, that you might like, but he's not afraid. We saw a couple of times he gets in those little mid-range floater sort of areas. He's very comfortable kind of putting up shots from there. And I mean, some acrobatic plays, a couple of like, threes that kind of hushed the crowd. And I mean, the second unit, I mean, we saw again the kind of hockey line shift second unit. And in the first half, it did not go well. You know, that I said there weren't any extended runs. I think the Raptors had like a 17-4 run or something like that from the late first to the second quarter. And, you know, this is the thing, right? Like when you get out there and Bobby was pretty much offensively was not there in game one against the Wizards. The first basically 3 quarters of this game, he just did not look like he had any rhythm. And then he hit like those 2 long twos late in the third quarter, early fourth quarter. That seemed
had a couple
to like
of big offensive rebounds too, and then it was on. Yeah,
but in the first half, you know, that you really like looked at that man. It was, you know, when it was, I guess Cole. I don't know if it was Amir Coffey or who was out there, if Rollins was still out there or whatever it was, but it was basically like Cole, and not that Cole was the problem, but you know, it was that sort of second group, right? Cole, Taurean Prince, Kyle Kuzma, Bobby Portis, and it's just like a lot of like potential chaos there with that group, right? And I give credit. I mean, like Kuzma was 4 for 5. I mean, he was very solid. I honestly, like early in the game, he was like really passing up shots to take, you know, to take kind of 3-pointers and stuff like that. It seems like he is really trying to be like a good citizen and play like aggressively and do kind of like what he was doing in the second half of the Wizards game, where he was pretty important. Like basically Bobby did tonight in that Giannis rest stretch in the second half, what Kuz did against the Wizards. And obviously in this game, it was even more important because, you know, we're not playing the Wizards. But Kuzma was important. And then I thought defensively, Kuzma was really good. Again, he had like an impressive block and a steal. You know, had, I think, a couple bad turnovers, which was kind of like, okay, like, you know, as part of like what you were mentioning, right? Where it's just like the Bucks get a steal and then they just immediately give it back. So yeah, but I mean, I thought Kuzma was actually very solid before, unfortunately, he goes down with an ankle injury as well. So we'll have to see. I mean, Giannis is plus 18 in a game that they win by 6. So if, you know, the Mike Malone hockey shifts to juice Giannis's on-off numbers, like so far it's working, I guess. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully it doesn't prevent them from winning basketball games, but yeah, I mean, they just got enough from those other guys. And then you know, defensively, I think the foul rate was, you know, we talked about last game. It felt like they fouled a lot, but they didn't get a lot of free throws. This game, 32 free throw attempts. Fortunately, 11 misses. The Raptors did not shoot well, which definitely helped. But, you know, I thought the defense was pretty solid. The defensive rating was another 112, which is okay, like not bad. And, you know, again, like when you're on the road in a team's home opener, especially a team that just played an awesome game and obviously has ambitions for this year. Yeah, I think this is a very satisfying win, in addition to, you know, saying, hey, Raptors fan, remember when you have talked about being Giannis suitors for the last, you know, 7-8 years? Guess what? You got a lot of Raptors. We got one MFing T-Rex over here.
Maybe they don't recall that conversation.
Maybe they don't recall that.
They can say,
I remember. Was it Bruce Arthur saying that there's mutual interest between the Giannis and the Raptors? Yeah. Where's your Masai now? Nowhere. Anyway, all right.
I thought the defense was really good in the first quarter, and then it just, a lot of things started to shift, which you would expect. But we mentioned the injury to Kyle Kuzma. I do want to talk about what we saw to close the game, and if it would have been different had it not been for the injury to Kyle Kuzma, and just overall the group that Doc closed the game with. So we'll get into that conversation coming up next on Locked On Bucks. Well, your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You play for the win, not just on game day, but every day. Locking in every opening, betting your PR, and beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. You trade stocks and EFTs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. So you can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood's Legends Advanced tools. Or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, now expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that is Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. You hear that sound? It's another 50-point game. NBA season is starting to heat up here, and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the bag drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. So next time someone goes off for 50, use the promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only, 50% off up to $10 the next day after a 50-point game with the promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. So, what did you make of the group that Doc closed the game with? Because I think there was a lot of, I don't know how I would term it. Like there was a lot of people kind of raising an eyebrow of what? Why haven't we seen AJ Green at all in the fourth quarter? And we're really closing this game with Taurean Prince. I mean, it seemed like, and I'm curious if you think differently. It was basically, you mentioned the size. We only got space for one of the two of you between Gary Trent Jr. and AJ Green, and we need somebody else. Whether that was Kuzma if he didn't roll his ankle or Taurean Prince, we need size for their wings. And I just think in those spots, this is what's going to be interesting about AJ. I think he brings more gravity, but Gary Trent Jr. is more apt to get the shot up quickly, and I think he can create for himself a lot more than AJ can.
Yeah, I mean, this is in a way, the most important stat for AJ, I think, is like his 3-pointers per minute stat. And, I've mentioned this in the past, but in AJ's, I think in his first year, I think he was something at like 11. I'm just going to look it up as we're seeing, but I think he was at something like 11 threes per 36 or something on that order, which put him into absolute like elite levels. Like it was literally like Dame, Steph, I think Malik Beasley and AJ Green were like the only guys that got threes up at that rate. And that was as a, young rookie that nobody really like was game planning for. Right. Yeah. So, he averaged, three 3-pointers a game in 10 minutes per game. And the last couple of years, that number, that 3-pointers per 36, or 3-pointers per minute, whatever you want to use as the denominator, has come down. So 11 as a rookie, 9.9 as a second-year player, 7.9 last year. Through one game in, it was 6.7. Tonight, I might have to double check what he took. Did he take 5? 5 in 26 minutes. So kind of similar type of rate. So this is like the thing for him. Like Gary Trent, he got up 11 tonight. Like Gary has a lot more comfort doing the kind of like sidestep dribble or getting the ball in a pick and roll and taking a screen and pulling up when you have some pressure on you. AJ is obviously not worried about having a guy near him. He doesn't need to be wide open, but the shot creation part of it is just harder. And the ball just isn't in his hands as much. He's not trying to do as much. He doesn't have as much off the dribble game. So yeah, I think for AJ, it, broadly speaking, is something that to unlock, the version of him that the Bucks were envisioning when they gave him the new contract. I think he does. And this is also a coaching thing, right? Like the coaches have to figure out like, what kind of actions do you run? How do you like put him on the move? How do you use him with Giannis, like setting screens, popping, like doing different things to free him up and really weaponize his shooting. And again, sometimes that's going to be him getting threes. Sometimes it's going to be just his gravity having an impact. And I think that's a big reason why, like, I'm not saying this is just like, oh, it's terrible, like AJ can't get up shots. It's like, well, part of it's because his gravity, I think, has become an extremely powerful weapon. So even when he's not getting as many shots, I think that's why his like plus minus was off the charts last year, is because like his gravity matters. So So yeah, I think it's notable, right? I mean, there's a reason AJ is starting. It's because they think he's better than Taurean Prince. But I think what we saw was, I think there were like 2 straight plays where RJ Barrett like basically just bullied his way to like, you know, layups or like little
like
7-foot push
turnaround.
shot.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think I get it. You know, I think Doc was just saying like, we got targets out there. We're too small. We need a little more physicality. And the flip side is like, Taurean Prince doesn't move his feet as well as AJ. And obviously he's not as dynamic a shooter, although Taurean Prince has been a hell of a shooter over the past year. Like I'm not gonna sit here and tell you Taurean Prince hasn't been a good shooter, because he has been. So we'll see. But you know, I think this is the hard part for Doc from a coaching perspective, is like, you don't have like your obvious like 5 closers, right? I think it is going to be much more matchup dependent. I mean, point guard, KPJ, Ryan Rollins, Cole Anthony, any given night, 1 or 2 of those guys could be closing games, given Rollins, I think, can play at the 2 and he can defend both guard spots. Obviously, Cole or KPJ are going to have hot shooting nights where you may want them, you know, handling the ball late. And then, I mean, what does that leave for you? Well, certainly Gary or AJ, you expect always at least one of those guys to be closing. And obviously, you know, I think Gary has been a guy tonight and other nights where we've seen him make plays. Obviously, the last game of the last season, some not great decision making from Gary.
I still, I don't really. Well,
I like Gary late in games though. I have confidence in Gary taking shots. I have confidence in AJ taking late game shots as well.
Yeah, and I like the late game stuff too. I don't really blame Gary for that. Like, I think
let's move on.
Like, there's equal blame on the other guy that passed. Yeah.
So, so it's one of those things. But it'll be a topic of conversation. I get it. If they lose with Taurean Prince on the floor, people are going to be pissed. But I think there are going to be situations where, like, matchup wise, like, I'll understand it. I'll get it.
But Taurean Prince was even in the plus minus too, which felt like very, that kind of that tracks what I saw. Do you think Kyle Kuzma closed the game if he doesn't roll his ankle? I mean, I kind of think so.
I wish this was football and you could just play him defensively and not offensively. But you know, I don't think you're going to do offense for defense subs with Kyle Kuzma. You know, so. But I mean, it is like, I mean, to be candid, like, I think if we're talking about, like, if you need like a wing defender with bigger, with like more wing size and switchability, I mean, I think it feels weird to say it, but I think Kuzma is probably like the most flexible wing defender you have, because he moves his feet better than Taurean and he's big, right? So again, not saying he should start over AJ Green or something like that, but there may be situations where, you know, you want to play. I mean, I just think back to that Lakers game last year where they put him on Luka to start the second half. And again, he didn't like shut down Luka, but like, he's at least big enough that it's not like, it's not, he can't just physically get dominated in the same way that at times, you know, AJ can struggle with size a little bit. And again, AJ's tough. He's strong. He took another charge tonight, you know, like keep doing what you're doing. But, you know, again, it's
just, and you mentioned before, like, if you're going to go against a team that has, you know, 2 through 4, what they're playing are big guys, that which we knew coming into the season, that's going to be the area you point at and say, how do they go up against that with this group?
Yeah. I thought one thing that was interesting to me was, like, I thought it was encouraging, like, these first couple of games, like, you know, in the first game, I thought Myles played better than his like shooting stats. Like, I was a little surprised his shooting stats were as poor as they were. Tonight, he was pretty like I saw he was 2 for 8, 4 points. I was like, felt like he was 2 for 8 for 4 points. Like, offensively, he wasn't very involved. Felt like he had like a number of opportunities to take a 3, and he just pump faked and took a dribble and passed it. But a couple blocks, a steal, plus 12, you know, 4 fouls. I was happy to see him come back in late, as much as, you know, Bobby had really gotten his offense together late in the game. Just the defensive factor, you needed Myles back out there. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, again, like, I feel like in a way, like, I'm not worried that Myles Turner is not going to like remember how to shoot or something like that. So in a way, it's just like, you know, you got a road win with Myles really not being very involved. offensively. You know, like, okay, they'll figure it out. And I think, as I was saying, like I think they need to. I think they're going to need to stagger Myles and Giannis more as the season goes on, because I think Kuzma and Bobby together, I just think is like a bit
especially
too much.
if you're like Bobby, Cole Anthony on the floor together, like you're basically asking Kuzma to be your defensive savior for all intents and purposes in those matchups. So I'm glad you brought that up with the stagger. There's one other thing I saw kicked around by a few people that I do want to touch on here for the Bucks second unit and how we may see things change, like how Doc is going to approach that. We'll get into that coming up after this. Well, let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've heard them all before. It could be stress. You're tired. It happens to everyone. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. They make getting started easy. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, so there's no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. So visit Rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That's Rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNBA so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. NFL season's here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. So you pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel's easy to use, gives you so many different ways to play as well. You can build parlays, try player props, follow the live lines during games. And it makes football watching even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. So whether you're a casual fan, digging into the numbers, following your fantasy team even, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So head to FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. So yeah, the line changes that we saw quite a bit of. I mean, you've got to start to stagger those two guys. And I saw those two guys being Giannis and Myles Turner. I think it felt like at least twice that we basically saw all five of the starters or four of the five check back into the game together where you're like, we're not going to like stagger this out a little more. I saw a few people mention too, like, boy, this really, I think it was in the sequences where Bobby was really struggling defensively. Like, yeah, it's noticeable that this Bucks second unit just doesn't have any rim protection when Giannis and Myles are off the floor, which is true. But I mean, how is it any different than previous years? Bobby was still your primary backup. Yeah. And so, I think part of it too is probably we're trying to see how this fits with Myles and Giannis and what we can do and all the other changing pieces, especially not having KPJ. So I'm sure part of it is still Doc trying to figure out what's the group I want to go with, but it's just been a weird mix of how he's deployed guys these first two games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, sometimes like you have to learn the hard way to stop doing something, right? And so we'll kind of see what, and again, like, I don't know if it's because, is Giannis told Doc, like, I only want to play with Myles, or like, like limit me with Bobby because I don't want to have to do as much work out there or something. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, we have seen like Kuzma get some. There have been sort of these like overlapping minutes where Kuz plays some three with Giannis at the four. Yeah. So again, we'll see. But I mean, the way Kuzma left today's game has me thinking like we probably don't see him next game. So all of the kind of like Bucks would be better off without Kuz sort of theories will very possibly be tested here as soon as the next game. But anyway, yeah.
Well, and like I would assume we don't see him on Sunday tomorrow, but the game where you'd really like to have Kuz is Tuesday against the Knicks, so that's going to be the interesting one, just because of same story as the Raptors, only a better version where you look at the size of their guys, non-Jalen Brunson on the wing and perimeter that you're going to throw out there, so that it gets back to the all right. This might be a challenge for some of the group that we're playing here. The KPJ thing too. I mean, it's still weird how Doc immediately said like, yeah, it wasn't good, and by all accounts, from everyone that I've heard from, I think Eric talked about this too. It's not like he's been in a walking boot or anything, and it everybody that I know that's on the trip said, he looked good. Like, I'm surprised they already ruled him out for Sunday. So I'm curious how long he's going to be out, and if this is just we're not messing around with an ankle injury this early in the season, so let's just be extra cautious with him.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think the Bucks are, I mean, look, I don't think the Bucks are trying to be like too cute with this sort of stuff, but I think there is the silver lining of the coaching staff to say like, we get an extended look at Cole and Ryan and how comfortable they are, playing that kind of lead ball handler role. I mean, Cole was obviously going to be the backup point guard effectively anyway. It's more different for Rollins because he's not only starting, but, nominally a point guard. He's not sharing the floor with, KPJ or Cole very much. So yeah, I think hopefully, I mean, if you can keep winning games and the T-shirt twins, shout out to our dear Camille. I think Camille is the first person I heard say that. I don't know if I haven't. I gave a shout out to the T-shirt twins on Twitter tonight. I said copyright Camille. Nobody has like charged into my mention saying like, no, I came up with it. Camille just passed it on. So Camille, until further notice, you get T-shirt twins. And yeah, we'll kind of see. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, I don't know. As a fan, that's always been my mindset is like when a guy gets hurt, I'm always like, oh, well, who do I get to see now that is kind of interesting?
You thought it was going to be the Mark Sears game?
No. And I am not going to, if Kuz misses a couple games, I am not going to talk about how, could have really used Tyler Smith right about now, or could have used Chris Livingston. Although I guess it's an interesting question. I mean, like, if Kuz is out, considering he's been mainly playing the 4, what exactly they do? Like, do they just play smaller, right? I mean, that might be kind of the typical answer. Certainly last year when they were down a couple bigs and you might think like, oh, is Tyler Smith the only other power forward available right now? Doc found a way to not play Tyler Smith. So he doesn't have to find a way now because he's not on the roster. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't think you need. I mean, I love Pete Nance, but I don't think Pete Nance playing 4 is like the answer here either. I think Pete's a 5. But obviously Bobby can play 4 if needed, so they could get a little creative. But I think most likely is Taurean Prince plays 4, which may be more of his natural position at this point anyway.
Yes, at this point. Yeah, I mean,
Amir Coffey could play more 3. Prince plays 5, right? Like that could be the simple answer. We've seen like a couple of cups of coffee, if you will, but not much.
Yeah, and Tyler Smith caught on with another team and is getting minutes now too. So it really makes your regret. No, he didn't. Okay. Somebody, by the way,
I saw someone. It was like somebody I follow retweeted someone who was like, Bucks are going to regret waiving Tyler Smith.
I saw a lot of that.
And it's like, look, here's the deal, guys. All right, Justin, we're old by NBA fan standards. We're old by the standards of people that like do podcasts.
We're approaching old by life standards.
We're approaching old by life standards. But I was like these people once, I was once, when I started Brew Hoop, I was 26 years old. And, I got excited about second round picks. And I remember I would write previews of second round draft prospects. And then, you get older and you realize like first off, there's no greater like waste of time in life than talking about guys your team might pick in the second round. Like just guys, we gotta find better, need to go touch grass, right? Like that, better things to do than that. Write about literally anything else. Write about actual players in the Bucks roster. I get no, and I should be fair, right? It's fun. I also really like it's fun. Draft prospects are fun, all that, but most draft prospects do not pan out. This is the reality of life, Every year, people get mad about guys not getting picked in the second round, or not picked late in the first round. Like I still distinctly remember people being so mad that the Bucks did not pick Marshawn Brooks in the second round. And it's just like, yeah, sometimes it like doesn't work out. Like, would AJ Mitchell be a good guy for the Bucks to have picked? Yeah, better than Tyler Smith, but like Tyler Smith, we didn't see very much, and like the reality is like the odds of him making you feel bad, right? Like these are the same people who are like, oh, Jordan Nwora just needs a chance, right? And look, I mean, like guys find roles. Like Sam Merrill has like caught on, but Sam Merrill just kind of like has done what he did with the Bucks, and he just sort of found a good niche, right? Like that happens. Mamu, we saw Mamu tonight. He's an NBA player, but like if anybody's sitting like, oh my God, Bucks regret like losing Mamu or whatever, it's like, it's fine, guys. It's not a big deal. Like you move on. This is not changing the trajectory of anything. So like, I don't want to be a killjoy, but like at some point you get old. At some point you get old enough to not play the like, oh, they're gonna regret like every freaking last thing. It's like,
at some point you get old enough to like, look, I regret everything. I saw quite a bit of it after he was released, and in fairness, it was not by any accounts that like we've noticed that followed the show or that you interact with on Twitter that are like pretty knowledgeable Bucks fans. It was mostly by outsider accounts who are like, wow, I can't believe the Bucks are moving on from a pick after 2 years. They're really going to regret this. You're like, no,
and look, and I will say it's totally fair to say like cutting a second round pick
is not great.
Is not great, and also like in part because you had to sign multiple brothers of your best player. Like totally fair to point that out. But do I think it's actually going to matter? In the history of like the Bucks, like not really. I do think by the way, the one thing I thought was I thought Sam Vecini had a fair point where, and Sam, because Sam is a person that knows, has every year forgets more than I know about the draft. He does as much homework as anybody. But I mean, I think he called out like the important thing with the Bucks and their drafting. It's like, especially that draft, the 24 draft, two very like project-y type guys, which is just a tough archetype to pick when your franchise is like very like near-term focused. And I mean, the same is true of, our guy Bogleyub. Like, I mean, thankfully, at least with him, like he's not, stumbling around like at the end of the bench trying to, figure out like which is the right basket to shoot on or something like that. Like
at the NBA level, we don't.
Yeah, see. Maybe he's doing that for mega basket or whatever in Serbia. But I think it's best that they didn't even bother trying to bring him over this year. But yeah, I mean it's difficult, and the Bucks I think it's almost like the outrageous home run success of Giannis. Like they basically have just been paying the.
It's like winning the championship in 2021 of like, we're going to give you this, but here's what's going to happen the next 4 years. So are you cool with that? Like, yeah, fine. Give it to me. Like that's what we've seen with the draft.
I will, the one thing, so I was talking to some friends about this, like kind of the idea of like, is the Bucks issue talent, like scouting, like they don't pick the right players or they don't know how to develop the guys that they do pick. And my sort of speculation or like my assessment would be it is, I'd say, mostly a talent identification problem, I think. And maybe like there's some part of like development sort of baked into that. But I think the main arguments I would use for that are, you look at the guys that have panned out, and I think the two best examples are AJ Green and Ryan Rollins right now, who, you know, AJ was signed out of college, so he effectively was a draft pick, but that they didn't, he wasn't even drafted, right? But effectively was like a draft pick. So I think you have to give credit as though he was a draft pick with AJ.
Yeah.
And I think with Ryan Rollins, I mean, Ryan Rollins is younger than AJ. Like, you know, he about basically 2 years. He was in the NBA before he lands in Milwaukee as like a scrap heap guy, like 2-way contract signing. And I think they've done a very nice job of putting him in positions to succeed. And obviously most of the credit goes to Ryan, you know, I think, but I think he's another success story that you look at and you say, oh, okay, like he's actually worked out. And, you know, you could argue like now Cole Anthony, KPJ, like those are also like young guys who have figured it out with the Bucks to an extent, but like, I think they were much more finished products. Like, I don't think the Bucks did not develop Kevin Porter Jr. Like, you know, they didn't develop Cole Anthony in the last like month or something like that. Right. Like he was a pretty good player who had real skill, you know, and then I think did a good job of saying, hey, we can pull this guy into what we're doing. And John Horst has found a lot of guys like that. I mean, Bobby Portis was young when he first got here. Malik Beasley now getting notoriety for other reasons, but you know, Malik is pretty young.
You're avoiding one name, Frank. None of those guys scored 43 points in a game.
That's true. Pat Connaughton, good eye for talent. They found Pat when he was
multi-sport athlete.
Was Pat 2 years? Was he 2 years with the Blazers or 3 years?
Yeah, I thought it was 3, but yeah, I mean, that's been their development. To your point, though, like just like finding guys,
basically the second draft guys,
pushing them to the next level.
But if you get drafted by the Bucks, you are screwed.
You're done.
If you had a Bucks draft hat or draft hat on the night of the NBA draft, it's over, dude. You have no future. But if you land in Milwaukee like a year or two later,
Kevin Porter Jr. did.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Which is what Camille and I were talking about like a week or so ago, and you know the streak the Bucks have had of not getting a second contract.
That's
technically Chris Livingston has had 2 contracts, and technically KPJ has had 2 contracts. So more than that for Kevin Porter Jr. 2-0 though. I mean, how does it feel to be tied for first place with the New York Knicks? Man.
It's magical. I mean,
what are the odds? They both have one more game between that matchup. What are the odds we're looking at early in the season? A peacock game. It's going to be shades of the Bucks versus Raptors in 2018 of 2 unbeaten teams.
It's going to be magic, man. Garden is good. Oh, no, we're playing in Milwaukee.
No, it's in Milwaukee. Yeah. The Forum is going to be rocking.
Exactly. So, and I was kind of thinking about it too, about road win, because I was sort of going into this game. I was like, man, you know, like that's one of the things when you got like Giannis and Dame, there's something about being on the road that is just like less intimidating because these superstars, you know, like they're not scared of playing in somebody else's gym, right? Like you always think of role players are the guys who generally perform better at home. And so I was kind of thinking, I was just like this year, if they can be like a solid road team, like if they win 20 games on the road, like then I think that really unlocks the opportunity to be a high 40s type of win team. But, you know, if you really struggle on the road, if you're, you know, 15-26, now all of a sudden, like you got to be awesome at home just to, you know, be like the 6th seed basically. Yeah. So anyway, so like it's one game, but like, you know, I'm glad like now they can say they've got their first home win. They've got their first road win.
They have 2 wins and not both of them are against a team that you're like, well, you should beat that team. Although we say that, but Wizards won tonight. They beat the Mavericks. So
suck it, Jason Kidd. Good job getting your extension right before the wheels come off. Yeah. When do they play? When's they play in Cleveland next?
Yes, Sunday afternoon in Cleveland. Camille and I talked about the other day too. Like,
all right, good time to get the Cavs.
Give me more. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to see Max Strus or Darius Garland. I know DeAndre Hunter didn't play tonight either. I don't know if that's going to extend into Sunday, but yeah, like we got 5:30 Central Time tonight in Toronto, 5 o'clock Sunday in Cleveland, 4 o'clock next week at home against the Kings. Like, let's keep on loading up these afternoon games.
Just give us weird times.
10:30.
Because Sunday, so it's afternoon Bucks and evening Packers, right? Because the Packers Steelers game is at like 7:20.
Oh, is that what's going on? There's something else that's happening.
I heard.
Like tonight, something else was happening in Toronto, I guess.
That's right. Yeah.
They
seems like a good crowd though, right? Like
they did a watch party for the World Series game. So like if you bought a ticket to the Raptors game, as soon as the game ended, they showed the World Series on the scoreboard. So everybody stayed in the arena for a party. And meanwhile, like you're doing your post-game interviews and everything else, and you just hear the crowd cheering behind you. We also got the very candid Doc Rivers was asked before the game by a Toronto reporter, who are you rooting for in the World Series? Or do you got any thoughts on the World Series? And I think he said, you don't want to know them. I'm not rooting for your team. And said, yeah, now that the Brewers are out, I can say I'm rooting for the Dodgers because I'm friends with Dave Roberts.
Well, Doc, we'll look past it. And I will say I was glad you mentioned earlier, but Doc, not a doctor, not that he's claimed he's a doctor, but hopefully the Kevin Porter injury is another example of the good side of that, where Doc
maybe Doc not being
more
a doctor
negative. Yeah. So we'll see if he says Kuzma is, in the ICU, then maybe that he's out 2 games or something. But.
Well, a solid win, good win, strong win against Raptors team that's, I think, going to be a playoff team, and many people pick to finish in front of the Bucks. And
they feel like I mean, I would say they would definitely have to be disappointed if they're not like, I mean, 7 or 8 seems like a very reasonable target for them.
I
if
think
they're not a 9-10, I would be like pretty shocked if they were not a play-in team at least. So but like injuries have been such a problem for them, so I don't know, we'll see. Like quickly
things, but
they don't have I feel like they are way more Emmanuel Quickly dependent probably than they would want to be. And also watching tonight's game in the Bucks guards, I mean, Quickly put up 19 points and 8 assists or whatever, so like had a totally fine stat line, but at no point was I like afraid of Emmanuel Quickly. And let's just say paying $30 million a year for Emmanuel Quickly, or like the Bucks are paying like $5 million
for Kevin Porter Jr.
Well, no, I was gonna say $5 million total for Cole Anthony and Ryan Rollins. I mean, basically the Bucks are paying $10 million total for their three-headed monster of guards. That's how you get value.
As we wrap here, I'm not one to complain, as you know. Before Raptors fans say Giannis does it all the time, how is it not a technical foul for taunting when Scotty Barnes looks directly at him, stares him down, and flexes? Like, yes, Giannis does it. He doesn't get in the face of the opposing player.
I think it was probably because it wasn't like an impressive enough play. Like to taunt, you actually have to do something cool. And he basically just kind of like pushed off on Giannis, and Giannis kind of got off balance and went down. And then he made like a, sort of like flimsy left-handed layup. So it's kind of like, if he had dunked on Giannis and then done it, then it'd be like, okay, that's taunting. But, like if you don't have good grounds to taunt, then I feel like you can't get a taunting call. I'm generally
from Giannis too of like, we're doing this. Okay.
I'm always I'm always sort of torn about taunting penalties in the NBA and the NFL. Cause part of me is just like, why do
you do something cool?
Yeah. Like, why do we even bother doing this? And again, I mean, I think I get it, is because obviously like you don't want the kind of tensions running too high. But I don't know. Part of me is just like thinking back to the taunting tech that Giannis got against the Pistons whenever it was a couple years ago. That was just like he didn't even like really actually look at Isaiah Stewart. He just sort of like yelled past him and then like was already on a tee. It's just like, refs, be smarter. Like this just
he didn't get one last year for the Beasley block and shimmy, did he?
no.
Yeah, I mean, just the lack
It
of
was too comical. If your taunt is too comical, you can't get a technical.
I mean, we didn't
Like
even mention
he was shaking it. I mean, like,
and then laughing and trying.
It's too funny. It's too funny. You can't get a technical when it's too funny. That's just the, you know.
Yeah, I mean, this at least early season, this is an entertaining stretch. We hope it's at least like nice test games here. This was a nice road test to see, okay, this is a better team than the Wizards. Maybe it's a team that's on your level as well.
And the Bucks couldn't just play they wanted to play for long stretches, right? Like they had actual adversity. And like I said, after the Wizards game, right? Like the Wizards shot the same 3-point percentage essentially as the Bucks in that game. In this game, the Raptors shot 40% from three. They only took 27, but you know, they blew the doors off the Hawks when in a game they made 6 out of 25
they
threes.
took 25,
which is crazy, right? So this isn't a team that I don't think is going to need to take tons of threes to be pretty decent. And the Bucks didn't shoot the lights out. They shot 35%.
Yeah.
But you know, and so, I think,
and they were good looks too, like both of these games. So,
So as I was saying to Camille the other day, it's like, if you win without really having a 3-point advantage, I think that's a really good statement about where this team is, because they are sort of built to be a 3-point shooting team. So if you can win without that, and we should say by the way, the 37% offensive rebound rate tonight, they did that once last year.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, like, we didn't see much offensive rebounding in the Wizards game. Is this, you know, like some repeatable thing? Well, I'm going to stop short of that. I mean, mostly this was Giannis. Giannis had 7 of their 14 offensive rebounds. I thought he just did a great job of, like, you know, he was getting crowded a lot. And I think he just decided, like, you know what, like, I'm going to go, especially when he was being guarded by like Agbaji and smaller guys. He was just like, I'm just going to go hunt putbacks and stuff. And, you know, it was a great strategy, right? He got a number of putbacks and kind of easy buckets that way. So that was important. So we'll see. Does that become in any way repeatable or more of a theme? I mean, again, just don't be the worst team in the league by far. That's my hope on the offensive glass.
Solid win, and it another for early season big game for this team. A nice test game coming up Sunday in Cleveland against the Cavs, and a different version of this Bucks team, and as we mentioned, a non-full strength Cavs team. So an interesting stretch here to start the season for the Bucks. Cavs, then the Knicks, then the Warriors. So those first 5 games, an interesting start here for the group. Anything that we didn't touch on? Any closing thoughts on this one?
Just looking at the box score. No, I mean, again, I think Rollins was really good. I will say the one thing about Rollins, there were a couple plays where even like the half court, like he was like dribbling around a lot, and then like ended up just getting to the rim for layups.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, don't know if I love the process, but he eventually got there. And so I think that's where like him being more in that like second side sort of role kind of fits a bit better, where he's not like the focal point of the action and things like that. But, you know, to his credit, I think he made 4 out of 6 twos. Didn't shoot well from 3, but, you know, his makes were impressive. It was getting to the rim, finishing with both hands, the dunk on Scotty Barnes, which the headbutt of the stanchion and yell, I thought was the appropriate response to Barnes' earlier non-taunting. So shout out to Ryan Rollins for defending our Bucks honor. He was really good tonight, and shout out to Cole Anthony. Hopefully more Cole Anthony games to come.
The Cole Anthony game. 2-0 start to the season for the Bucks. A solid win in Toronto, knocking off the Raptors. That'll do it for today's post game. For Frank, I'm Justin. We'll talk with you guys once again Monday as we recap the Bucks and the Cavaliers. It comes your way after in a couple of days here on Locked On Bucks.